Good morning, my name is Pablo, and today we're presenting the challenge for the week 10, where we'll analyze in detail a report from Science Direct titled Does the Geographic Complexity of Colombian Financial Conglomerates Increase Banks? The role of the diversification, regulatory arbitrage, and funding costs will detail the key points, and at the end, I give my perspective on everything we've read or discussed. This decade, Colombian international financial conglomerates (IFCF) have expanded internationally significantly increased their geographic complexity. This purpose analyzes the effect of change in geographic complexity on the level of bank risk. We use the C-score as a measure of banking risk and a measure of geographic complexity. The number of countries where a Colombian IFC has banking subsidiaries. Our result suggests that complexity is associated with higher levels of banking risk due to Colombian international expansion into countries with high GDP, correctionalities, and lower regulatory quality. Furthermore, we find evidence that complex banks increase their demand for external funds when the domestic cost of capital rises. Local monetary policy also affect the relationship between banking complexity and banking risk. Introduction. Over the past decade, Colombian financial conglomerates have expanded internationally, significantly increasing their geographic complexity, as reflected in the number of concentration of subsidiaries in different countries. Bosch and Goldberg, 2020. In a short time, their Colombia financial conglomerates consolidated their position as key players in the banking sector of Panama, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. They absorbed the operation of local banks and international subsidiaries of global groups. These lower groups withdrew for these countries following the global financial crisis. Its response to stricter international regulation or change in their international business models. Despite the significant global expansion of international financial conglomerates (IFCs), there is a little empirical research on the relationship between geographic complexity and banking risk. The literature analyzes international and international banking expansion, but the results are mixed and to some extent contradictory. Some studies conclude that greater geographical complexity and a higher proportion of foreign subsidiaries increase bank risk. A.G. Krause, ATL 2017, and the geographically diversity IFS shows riskier loans. Chong 1891, Achira ATL 2006, and Krause ATL 2017. Other studies, however, find that banks increase and IFCX employing geographically suggesting benefits deriving from greater complexity. A.G. Goats ATL 2016, Living ATL 2015, Hakic and Witt 2003, Ding and Helasini 2008, and Faya ATL 2017. The lack of consensus in the literature could be related to various factors, both domestic and foreign, that may influence the relationship between complexity and bank risk. Colombia offers an ideal context for studying the relationship between complexity and banking risk due to the significant increase in geographical complexity driven in part by the exogenous withdrawal of global banks from the region following the global financial crisis. This paper makes thoughtful contribution to the literature. First, it analyzes how the degree of geographical complexity of financial institutions influence the level of risk in banks. Second, it identifies the main channels, both national and international, that drive the relationship. Is this way, the paper aims to help policymakers determine whether further regulation of the financial institution is needed. The international channels considered coincided with those highlighted in the literature: diversification, regulatory arbitrage, and external financial costs. The first is associated with greater asset diversification through expansion into locations with low correction to their economic agilities. GOATS ATL 2016 via ATL 2017. The second relates to presence of regulatory arbitrage, whereby financial institutions expand into countries with the less stringent regulation. FEA ATL 2017. The third refers to gains instead of lower financial costs, since the expansion of the financial institution allows to liquidity management of the global scale, sectorally ATL 2016. The article also considers and domestic channels national monetary policy as it can influence the impact of geographic complexity of banking risk. To our knowledge, no previous work has studied how monetary policy influence the effect of geographic complexity of banking risk. Both economic theory and empirical evidence offer conflicting perspectives on the relationship between geographic complexity and banking risk. Portfolio theory predicts that geographic expansion could reduce banking risk. It is processed in accompanied by the inclusion of assets imperfectly correctly when existing out there. Bones and Presser 1986. Furthermore, the literature based on agency model suggests that banks might expand geographically to obtain private benefits by increasing their risk. Agency costs lend to reduce higher supervisory costs, which affect banks' incentives and consequently their risk profiles. Farhi and Tyrone 2012. The costs associated with the supervision on an international group tend to higher and therefore of my expense that the geographical expansion of band will drive some deterioration in the quality of their essence. Brickley ATL 2003, Berger ATL 2005, an increase in funding costs. Jensen 1886 and Scherstein and Dane 2000. Section Expert: Geographic complexity in Colombia. Over the past decade, Colombian financial conglomerates have expanded abroad, primarily into Central America, significantly increasing their geographic complexity. In 2006, this conglomerate had 29 foreign subsidiaries with assets of USD 4 billion. By 2018, the number of foreign subsidiaries had increased to 220, with assets of USD 91 billion. Those changes highlight the importance of increased geographic complexity in recent years. In contrast, the number of Colombian financial subsidiaries. The empirical analysis of empirical analysis is divided into two parts. In the first, we analyze the effect of the geographic complexity of domestic conglomerate of the REIT on Colombia banks. In the second, we explore the mechanisms that explain this relationship. We focus on the internal mechanisms, diversification, regulatory arbitrage, and the cost of external financing, and one internal mechanism, domestic monetary policy. Data and descriptive statistics. This study primarily used two datasets. The first contains monthly financial statements of banks compiled by the Financial Superintendency of Colombia, the supervisory body of the Colombian financial system. The information covers the period from 2007 to 2018 and includes 3,000 observations from 29 banks. The second dataset comprises unique monthly information on the international presence of the Colombian financial conglomerate for the period 2008-2018, or measure of geographic complexity in construct. Geographic complexity and banking risk. Overall of the findings suggests that greater geographic complexity increased banking risk and consistent with the results on themselves and Strahan. 1997, Chunk 1991, Ocheria ATL 2006, and Kraus ATL 2017. Table 2, is this a picture of the text? So, provides the regression results of the relationship between geographic complexity and banking risk. So, the last part in this video is a conclusions. So, Colombia represents an interesting case study for evaluating the effects on ingenious international expansion by local financial conglomerates. Several Colombian financial institutions span into Central America, so Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador. So, several Colombian financial institutions expand into Central America due to the reduction of international subsidiaries of global groups that left those countries after the global financial crisis. Its response to stricter international regulations of change into internal business model. There are not many relevant cases of geography expansion abroad by local banks. Y pues en español, realmente el texto fue algo muy interesante, ya que como vimos pudimos abarcar varios factores que han pasado en Colombia. No desde hace tiempo atrás, sino últimamente con todo el tema de la economía, de la sociedad, sobre los órdenes de financiamiento que pasan hoy con los bancos. Y escogí este texto porque me parecía algo muy importante y es algo que yo me quiero enfocar en mi carrera. Cómo nosotros podemos afrontar problemas en la sociedad referentes al dinero, a la economía, a los bancos y así crear soluciones.